Hey everybody, we got our next guest of the day on. We got Cam. Cam, how you doing?
Doing well, Jake. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. And Cam, one of the first things I like to ask my guests on is, what can you tell us about you?
What can I tell you about me? I'm currently a senior in college at Thomas College, a small school in Waterville, Maine. Second best school in Waterville, the Colby College, who was also in Waterville. I am a sport management major and I run Bruins media here on Instagram. We've seen a ton of growth on our page, so go check us out. And I think I plan on moving to Florida next year to seek a job opportunity in the sport world.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
Real
we
quick
will link
before
that
any idea
Instagram.
of the job opportunity or
No idea yet, but I'd love to dabble in college sports, professional sports, pretty much anything sport
awesome.
related. Yeah.
Yeah, we will link that Instagram down below. Let's get into some Bruins talk.
Let's
So the Bruins, first place in the Atlantic, 43 and 8. Um, you know, they have a great goaltender in Linus Ullmark. They have great goal scorers in David Pastrnak, Patrice Bergeron, and Brad Marchand. Where do you when? Because obviously they're gonna make the playoffs, but when
yeah.
they get into the playoffs, where do you think they go on a long championship run, or what do you think?
I think obviously that's the goal for any team making the NHL playoffs. Especially, I look at this group here and looking at the Bruins, especially their last couple teams. I think this is the best team they've had on paper since probably 2014 when they did win the President's Trophy. So honestly,
Hmm.
I could see Boston making a deep run here, but I do think it's going to come down to if they play the Carolina Hurricanes or when they play the Carolina Hurricanes, can they get the job done versus a team that's been giving them trouble, especially in Carolina. So I think they do have the potential to make a long playoff run. And unbiasedly, I do believe they have a chance to win the Stanley Cup, but it all is going to depend on uh, obviously the outcome.
Yeah, Carolina obviously gives a lot of teams fits. Now I wanted to talk about the President's Trophy a little bit because the Bruins are the favorite to win it, and there's this thing called the President's Trophy curse.
Yep.
What do you think about that?
I mean, yeah, the results don't lie. A lot of teams who have won the President's Trophy do not end up winning the Stanley Cup, and the playoffs are a whole different animal. And I always tell everybody, it doesn't matter how you get in. It's if you get in, you got to be hot at the right time. You got to have a hot goaltender, and if you're in, anybody has a chance in the NHL. So again, I do believe Boston can win despite if they do win the President's Trophy. But again, playoffs, it's like a whole new season. It's a whole other animal out there. Doesn't matter where you finish.
Yes, so we will definitely see what happens with the Bruins. Now I want to jump into some Patriots talks.
Yeah.
Obviously last year was a down year for New England. They were 8 and 9. Um, Most of that issue was the quarterback play. Mac Jones didn't play as great. 14 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, only a 65.2 completion rating. Uh, do you think that the Patriots are going to stick with Mac Jones this year, or do you think they're going to start Bailey Zappi?
This is a prove it year for Mac Jones. I am a true believer in this guy, believe it or not. I think Bill O'Brien will be a huge help to Mac Jones's development. I think a couple some additions on the tackle can also help, and going out and grabbing a wide receiver one, whether that be through the draft, whether that be external like a DeAndre Hopkins. I'm not sure, but getting Mac Jones an offensive coordinator that's already checked off, some tackle help, an elite receiver. If he doesn't play well with those additions, then I think it's time to cut ties. But one more season for Mac Jones here, and it's a big prove it year for Mac. I'm a big believer in him. I like what he did at Alabama. I think if you give him some weapons, I think he will succeed.
All right. Evan, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so he is the biggest Mac Jones hater in the world, first of all, by the way. But he's been calling he's a Dolphins fan too, but he's been calling him for him to leave for the longest time. I think you're right. I think when I thought of
I just
Mac
don't
Jones
think
when
he's a
he
great leader of that team. I just don't think he's
yeah,
a great leader of that team.
but it's also very early to tell that too. Very early. But my thing with Mac Jones is I compared him out of college to Ben Roethlisberger. Does he have the strongest arm in the world? No. Is he the most mobile in the world? No. But he can win. He can win games. And I see it with the throwing motion a little bit. Maybe not as big as Ben Roethlisberger, but that's what I've thought of him. Obviously, it's been a little bit of a rough stretch. I think you could definitely put a lot of blame on that on Bill Belichick too. Maybe I'm in the minority in that. Bill Belichick for the longest time built the Pats how he wanted to. But now that there's no more Brady, yes, they're still a decent team, and yes, he still makes good moves. But it is kind of like you said, it's time like, when are you going to get a receiver? When are you going to get a legit receiver? And that's a question that remains to be seen. So I don't even think of Mac Jones falters with the Patriots. It's necessarily done for him, but you're right. This is a big year for him. But I'm okay with Mac Jones. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we look around these elite quarterbacks in the NFL, and they all have something in common that have helped these quarterbacks development. Joe Burrow, they go out the next year, they drafted Jamar Chase. Josh Allen, to develop him, they go out and trade for a Stephon Diggs.
Right.
And I think, all these elite quarterbacks, general managers are going out and trading for these elite receivers to pair them up with these quarterbacks. And obviously that's worked for guys like Allen, Joe Burrow, and Patrick Mahomes with Travis Kelce. That connection is amazing. So I think an elite receiver would be absolutely huge for Jones and his development, because no offense to a guy like Jacoby Myers, he's just not a wide receiver one.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, Cam, we appreciate having you on, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for coming on.